Long night drives have a way of changing how we experience time and space. When you're alone on the road, your thoughts stretch, and sometimes something happens that never quite makes sense. I've noticed that it's often not the dramatic moments that stay with you, it's the quiet ones, the ones that are over before you fully understand what just happened. One night I was driving a friend home. I was parked on a quiet side road and needed to pull onto the main street. I stopped, checked the mirrors, and looked again. I am careful like that usually. I didn't see anything coming. As soon as I entered the road, I heard tires screech. A black SUV slid across the street in front of me, close enough that I could see how fast it had been moving. If it hadn't reacted in time, it would have hit the driver's side of my car. Nothing actually happened. The other driver didn't stop. They just kept going. Sat there for a moment, trying to understand how close it had been. Still don't know if I mistook a streetlight for headlights, or if their headlights weren't on, or if I simply missed something. I only know that sometimes the road gives you a warning without explaining why. I don't think about blame anymore. I just know that someone had good reflexes that night, and that was enough. These are 5 unresolved experiences people have described while driving at night. Number 5. The missing minutes. I used to drive trucks long before there were strict limits on hours and breaks. Sometimes I stayed on the road far longer than I should have. The hardest part was never the distance. It was staying awake. I learned early on that keeping my mind busy helped. Numbers, speed, time, little calculations I could do in my head to stay alert. One night, after driving for a long time, I felt it creeping in anyway. Heavy eyes, a dual presence behind them. Rolling down the window didn't help. Music didn't help. It was raining, and the road through the mountains left no room to safely pull over. Just darkness on both sides. So I kept talking to myself, doing the math out loud, watching the mile markers pass. I remember passing one and calculating when I should reach the next. And then, nothing. Just a deep breath. The kind you take when your body makes a decision for you. I woke up with a jolt, gasping, my hands tightening on the wheel. The truck was drifting. Straight ahead was a mile marker I shouldn't have reached yet. Somehow, I had covered miles of narrow road without being aware of it. I corrected the wheel just in time and managed to pull over. When I stopped, my hands were shaking too badly to move. What scared me wasn't how close it came. It was the gap. I don't know how my body stayed on the road when my mind wasn't there. I just know there are miles of that night I don't remember. And whatever happened during that time, I've learned to live with not knowing why. Most people try to explain moments like that. Some experiences are harder to place. Number 4. No hazards. I was driving alone that night, sometime after 2 in the morning. I don't remember exactly where I was headed anymore. Just that the road was empty, and I had been driving for a long time. That's when I saw someone standing on the shoulder. A woman, still, wearing something light colored. There was nothing else around. No houses, no other cars. No reason for anyone to be there. I passed her, then slowed down and turned around. I figured she might need help, but when I came back, there was nothing. No one on the shoulder, no movement, just the road, exactly the way it had been before. I pulled over and looked for a while, longer than I probably should have. Eventually, I got back in the car and kept driving. A minute or two later, I felt something that didn't make sense. A sudden urge to change lanes. There was no traffic, nothing ahead of me, no reason to move over. But the feeling was strong enough that I did. Not long after that, I saw it. The truck stopped dead in the lane I just had left. No hazard lights, no warning. If I'd stayed where I was, I wouldn't have had time to stop. I never figured out who the woman was. I never tried to explain it. I just know that sometimes, on long, quiet roads, you feel things before you understand them. And sometimes, listening is enough. On long drives, you get used to watching the road carefully. Sometimes, that's exactly what saves you. Number 3, close call. We were driving late at night. Just me and two friends, heading across a long stretch of highway with nothing around. No towns, no lights, just road. It was after 2 in the morning, and the highway felt unusually empty. I was in the right lane when I came up behind a large truck and pulled out to pass it. As I was slowly overtaking, something caught my eye in my peripheral vision. The truck ahead of me suddenly veered toward the shoulder. At first, I thought it was a mechanical issue. Then I saw why. Someone was crossing the highway. They were dressed entirely in white, standing upright, moving slowly. What I remember most is how still they looked. Their arms were folded across their chest. Their eyes appeared closed. I swerved instinctively. I felt the van drift just far enough left to miss them. My passenger side mirror passed so close that I can still picture their face, or at least the shape of it. We didn't stop. None of us spoke for a long time afterward. Later, we tried to make sense of it. A person, an accident waiting to happen, a trick of exhaustion and headlights. But none of those explanations ever really fit. All I know is that someone was there, and that we missed them by a matter of inches. And that's not something you forget. They didn't talk about it after that. They didn't need to. Some moments stay with you because of how close they came. Others stay with you because they shouldn't have happened at all. Number 2. Same truck. I was driving alone through a remote stretch of road. The kind that doesn't get used much. Not paved well, slow going. Because of the condition of the road, I had to keep my speed low. There was nothing around for miles. Then I saw another truck approaching from the opposite direction. At first, nothing about it stood out. Same type of truck as mine. It happens sometimes. As it got closer, I decided to honk. Just a quick acknowledgement. The other driver honked back. We slowed even more as we approached each other. Both of us, carefully on the narrow road. When we passed, I turned my head to look at the driver, and I saw myself. Not someone who looked similar, not a reflection, not a stranger with familiar features. It was me. Same clothes, same hat, same beard. He was looking straight at me. There was no expression, no reaction. We passed each other slowly, and then he was gone. I didn't stop. I did not turn around. I've seen a lot of strange things on the road over the years. Things that don't always make sense when you think about them afterward. But that was the moment I decided I was done. I never went back to long haul trucking after that. Not everything that happens on the road leaves a memory that you can hold on to. Number 1. The headlights. I was driving alone at night through a stretch of road that rarely saw any traffic. Flat land. Long distances between intersections. When I reached a stop sign, I slowed all the way down. I remember stopping completely. There was nothing around me. No buildings, no other cars. Just open land in every direction. That's when the light appeared. It was sudden and much brighter than anything on the road should have been. I looked up instinctively and saw several lights, blinking, shifting, impossible to focus all at once. I don't remember what happened after that. The next clear thing I remember is standing inside a small diner, holding a cup of coffee. I didn't remember walking in. I didn't remember parking. When I looked at the clock, hours had passed. The man behind the corner noticed something was off and asked if I was alright. I asked him when I had come in. He told me it had only been a few minutes ago. I had walked in, sat down, and started drinking coffee without saying much. I told him what I could remember. The stop sign, the light, the missing time. He didn't look surprised. He just nodded and said it was something that happened there from time to time. I stayed long enough to steady myself, then got back in my car and left. Nothing like that ever happened to me again. But I never drove that road at night after that. I don't know what caused it. I've never tried to explain it. I only know that there are hours of that night I don't remember. And whatever happened, I didn't want to give it another chance to happen again.